Welcome to Volume and Vision. Have you ever reached the end of a busy day, dropped onto your bed, and thought, I didn't stop working for even a minute, so why do I still feel like I achieved nothing important? You answered dozens of messages, cleared your inbox, finished small tasks, attended meetings, crossed off items from your to-do list. Yet that one dream you truly care about, the business you want to build, the book you want to write, the skill you want to master, the healthier life you promised yourself, hasn't moved forward at all. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Most people believe the secret to success is doing more. More hours, more effort, more hustle, more commitments. Society celebrates the busiest person in the room. If your calendar is packed and your phone never stops buzzing, people assume you're successful. But what if that belief is completely wrong? What if being busy is actually the biggest obstacle standing between you and the life you want? Imagine two people. The first person works 14 hours every day. They answer every email immediately, attend every meeting, accept every request, and proudly tell everyone how exhausted they are. Their schedule is overflowing, yet every evening they feel drained and frustrated because the things that matter most never seem to get done. The second person works fewer hours. They say no more often than yes. They ignore many distractions. They spend most of their energy on only a handful of important tasks. From the outside, they may even look less busy. But year after year, their career grows, their health improves, their relationships become stronger, and they seem to achieve extraordinary results without constantly burning themselves out. Who do you think is actually winning? Today, we're going to uncover the difference between these two lives. Welcome to Volume and Vision, where timeless ideas from life-changing books are transformed into practical lessons you can apply immediately. If you're someone who wants to work smarter, think clearer, and build a life filled with purpose instead of pressure, you're in exactly the right place. Today's journey is inspired by one of the most practical books on productivity ever written, Free to Focus by Michael Hyatt. But this isn't just another productivity guide filled with hacks and complicated systems. It's a completely different way of thinking about work, success, and freedom. Because here's the truth. Productivity isn't about squeezing more work into your day. It's about creating more life inside your days. Most of us are running a race we never consciously chose. We wake up and immediately check our phones. One notification becomes 5 become 50. Before we even finish breakfast, our attention has already been borrowed by dozens of people. Someone needs a reply. Someone wants a favor. Someone schedules another meeting. A social media app reminds us to come back. An email claims it's urgent. Hours disappear before we've spent even 10 focused minutes on our own priorities. Little by little, we stop living intentionally and begin living reactively. Instead of deciding what deserves our attention, we allow everything around us to decide for us. And that's where the problem begins. Think of your attention as a flashlight. Wherever you point it, that's what grows. If the flashlight keeps jumping every few seconds, nothing receives enough light to truly flourish. But if you keep it focused on one important thing long enough, remarkable progress becomes possible. Unfortunately, modern life trains us to move that flashlight constantly. Every vibration from your phone steals a little focus. Every unnecessary meeting drains a little energy. Every tiny interruption leaves behind a mental cost that most people never notice. By the end of the day, you don't feel tired because you worked on meaningful goals. You feel tired because your brain spent the entire day changing directions. Imagine driving a car. If your destination is 100 miles away but you change direction every 2 miles, you'll spend far more fuel than someone who simply stays on the right road. Your mind works exactly the same way. Every distraction forces your brain to stop, reset, remember where it was, and begin again. Those hidden resets quietly consume hours every week. This is why some people can accomplish extraordinary things in 6 focused hours while others spend 12 chaotic hours feeling constantly behind. The difference isn't intelligence. It isn't luck. It isn't talent. It's direction. Direction is far more valuable than speed. Think about climbing a ladder. You can climb as fast as possible. You can climb without taking breaks. You can even become the fastest climber in the world. But if your ladder is leaning against the wrong wall, every step simply takes you farther from the life you actually want. Many people spend years becoming incredibly efficient at doing things that don't really matter. They're experts at responding, experts at reacting, experts at staying occupied, but very few become experts at choosing. And choosing is where real productivity begins. Every morning, you make hundreds of tiny decisions. Most happen so automatically that you barely notice them. Should I answer this message now? Should I check social media for just 5 minutes? Should I accept another project? Should I attend another meeting? Should I spend tonight learning a valuable skill or watching random videos until midnight? Each choice feels insignificant, but together, they create your future. Your future isn't built by one massive decision. It's built by thousands of ordinary choices repeated every day. Imagine planting seeds. Every action you take is a seed. Some grow into strong trees that provide shade for years. Others become weeds that quietly steal nutrients from everything else. The challenge is that weeds often grow faster than trees. Scrolling through social media gives instant entertainment. Answering another notification feels productive. Cleaning your inbox creates a satisfying sense of completion. But learning a new skill, exercising consistently, writing a book, building a business, strengthening relationships, those are slower growing trees. They require patience. They require focus. And most importantly, they require protection from distractions. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is, I'll focus on my important goals after I finish everything else. But everything else never ends. There will always be another email, another message, another request, another emergency. If you wait until life becomes quiet before focusing on what matters, you'll spend your entire life waiting. Successful people don't find time. They protect time. There's a huge difference. Imagine someone gave you $1 million but warned you that every stranger you meet can take a little money unless you stop them. Would you casually hand out your fortune? Of course not. Yet every single day, many people give away something even more valuable than money. Their attention. Unlike money, attention cannot be earned back once it's spent. Every minute invested in something meaningless is a minute permanently removed from something meaningful. That's why the most successful people aren't obsessed with managing time. They become masters of managing attention. Time is fixed. Everyone receives 24 hours. Attention is flexible. Where you place it determines the quality of your life. Let's look at another example. Imagine two artists. Both receive the same amount of paint. The first splashes tiny drops across hundreds of different canvases. The second pours almost all the paint onto one masterpiece. At the end of the year, which artist creates something unforgettable? Your energy works the same way. Spread it across dozens of unimportant activities, and you'll feel exhausted without creating anything remarkable. Concentrate it on what truly matters, and even ordinary effort can produce extraordinary results. Here's something most people never realize. You don't actually need more motivation. Motivation comes and goes. You need clarity. When you're clear about what's most important, saying no becomes easier. Distractions become easier to ignore. Your schedule becomes easier to simplify. Decisions become less stressful because every opportunity is measured against one simple question. Does this move me closer to the life I'm trying to build? If the answer is yes, it deserves attention. If the answer is no, it deserves a polite no. That sounds simple, but in practice, it's one of the hardest skills you'll ever develop. Because saying yes feels good. People appreciate you. You avoid disappointing others. You feel helpful. But every yes carries a hidden price. Whenever you say yes to something unnecessary, you're quietly saying no to something essential. Yes to another unnecessary meeting. No to reading. Yes to endless notifications. No to deep thinking. Yes to pleasing everyone else. No to investing in your own future. Life doesn't change because of what you intend to do. It changes because of what you repeatedly choose to do. That's why the journey toward freedom doesn't begin with working harder. It begins with asking a better question. Not, how can I get more done today? But instead, what deserves my best attention today? That single question has the power to transform not only your productivity but your entire life. Because when you stop trying to do everything, something amazing happens. The things that truly matter finally have room to grow. And that's where real freedom begins. In the next section, we'll discover why trying to do everything is actually making you accomplish less, and how learning to eliminate the right things can multiply your results without adding a single extra hour to your day. There is a struggle almost every ambitious person has. Whenever life feels overwhelming, we don't remove responsibilities, we add new systems. We download another productivity app. We buy another planner. We watch another video about time management. We organize our calendar with different colors. We create a new to-do list. For a few days, everything feels exciting. We believe this time will be different. This time we'll finally become productive. But within a week, we're back where we started. The problem wasn't the planner. It wasn't the app. It wasn't the calendar. The problem was that we were trying to organize a life that had already become overloaded. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with heavy rocks. Now imagine someone gives you a stronger backpack. Does that solve the problem? Not really. The smarter solution is to remove the rocks. That's exactly how most people approach productivity. They keep searching for a better backpack instead of asking which rocks shouldn't be there in the first place. Here's a powerful truth. Every successful person has learned one skill that many people ignore. The ability to eliminate. Think about a sculptor standing in front of a giant block of marble. The masterpiece isn't created by adding more stone. It's created by removing everything that doesn't belong. Your life works exactly the same way. Success isn't built by constantly adding more commitments. It's built by courageously removing what steals your attention. The difficult part is that distractions rarely look dangerous. In fact, they often look productive. Replying instantly to every email feels responsible. Attending every meeting feels professional. Helping everyone who asks feels generous. Checking your phone, just for a minute, feels harmless. But when these tiny habits repeat hundreds of times every week, they quietly become your biggest obstacles. Picture a small leak in a water tank. One drop doesn't matter, neither does the second, or the 100th, but leave it unchecked for months, and eventually the tank becomes empty. Your energy leaks the same way. One unnecessary notification, one unexpected phone call, one pointless meeting, 1 hour of mindless scrolling. None of them seem important alone. Together, they steal entire years of your life. Now ask yourself an uncomfortable question. If someone secretly recorded your entire week and showed you exactly where every minute went, would you be proud of what you saw? Most people wouldn't. Not because they're lazy, because they've become trapped in automatic habits. Many of us no longer choose how we spend our attention. Our environment chooses for us. Our phones decide. Our inbox decides. Other people's priorities decide. And slowly, our biggest dreams become optional while everyone else's requests become urgent. This is why learning to say no is one of the highest paying skills you'll ever develop. Not because you're becoming selfish. Because every meaningful yes requires dozens of invisible no's. Imagine you're building your dream house. Would you allow strangers to randomly decide where the walls go? Would you let anyone walk onto the construction site and redesign the rooms? Of course not. Yet many people allow complete strangers to redesign their day. A random notification appears. Plans change. Someone asks for a favor. An unexpected invitation arrives. Without thinking, they immediately rearrange everything. By evening, their own priorities have completely disappeared. Protecting your attention doesn't mean ignoring people. It means recognizing that your future deserves the same respect you give everyone else's requests. There's another hidden trap that quietly destroys productivity. The belief that being available all the time is a strength. Technology has convinced us that every message deserves an immediate response. But ask yourself this: if a surgeon stopped during an operation every time their phone vibrated, would you trust that surgeon? If an architect left a blueprint unfinished every 5 minutes to answer texts, would you want them designing your home? Deep work requires uninterrupted thinking. Great ideas don't appear the moment you sit down. They emerge after your mind has been focused long enough to connect thoughts in ways that scattered attention never can. Unfortunately, many people quit just before reaching that point. They become uncomfortable after 10 or 15 minutes of concentration. Their brain begins craving novelty. A quick notification feels rewarding. A new message offers instant stimulation. Without realizing it, they interrupt the very process that could have produced their best work. Imagine trying to boil water. You place the pot over the flame. After 1 minute, you move it to another burner. A minute later, you move it again. Then again. The water never boils because the heat never stays in one place long enough. Your focus behaves exactly the same way. Every interruption cools your mental momentum. Every distraction forces you to begin again. And beginning again is far more exhausting than simply continuing. This is why truly productive people don't rely on willpower. They design environments that make focus easier. A writer might turn off Wi-Fi while working. An entrepreneur might silence notifications for several hours. A student might leave their phone in another room while studying. At first, these habits seem unnecessary. But over time, they become unfair advantages. Because every uninterrupted hour produces work that scattered attention struggles to create in an entire day. There's another misconception worth challenging. People often believe opportunities should always be accepted. After all, opportunities don't come every day. But not every opportunity deserves your attention. Imagine you're walking through a beautiful forest. Halfway along the trail, someone offers you a different path. A few minutes later, someone else points toward another direction. Then another. Then another. If you keep changing trails simply because each one looks interesting, you'll spend the entire day walking without reaching any destination. Life offers opportunities the same way. Some are incredible, some are simply distractions wearing attractive disguises. The challenge isn't finding opportunities. It's choosing which ones deserve your limited time. Remember, every commitment has two costs. The first cost is obvious. Time. The second cost is invisible. Mental space. Even after you've agreed to something that won't happen until next month, your brain quietly begins carrying it. You remember deadlines. You wonder whether you're prepared. You mentally rehearse conversations. Tiny pieces of attention remain occupied long before the task actually begins. This invisible mental clutter explains why some people feel exhausted before they even start working. Their schedule isn't just full. Their mind is full. One of the simplest ways to clear that mental space is to ask one question before accepting anything new. If I weren't already committed to this, would I enthusiastically choose it today? If the answer is no, that may be your sign to let it go. Many successful people follow another simple rule. If something isn't important enough to deserve your full effort, it probably doesn't deserve your attention at all. Average effort spread across 20 priorities creates average results. Exceptional effort focused on 3 priorities changes lives. There's an old story about a gardener who planted dozens of fruit trees across a large field. He watered each one for only a minute every day. Years passed, but none of the trees grew very tall. His neighbor planted only 5 trees. Every day, those 5 received deep watering, careful pruning, and consistent care. Eventually, they became strong enough to produce abundant fruit. The difference wasn't hard work. It was concentrated effort. Your goals are those trees. If your attention is divided among too many ambitions, none receive enough nourishment to flourish. Sometimes the fastest way to move forward isn't adding another goal. It's choosing which goal deserves your complete commitment. That's why extraordinary achievement often looks surprisingly ordinary. It isn't dramatic. It isn't chaotic. It's built through quiet consistency. One meaningful task, completed well, repeated day after day. While everyone else is chasing everything, focused people quietly become exceptional at something. And here's the beautiful part. When you remove unnecessary commitments, something unexpected happens. You don't just create more time. You create more peace. You think more clearly. You sleep better. You become more patient with the people you love. You notice ideas that constant busyness once buried beneath noise. Because your greatest breakthroughs rarely arrive while you're rushing. They arrive when your mind finally has enough space to think. So before searching for another productivity system, ask yourself a different question. What can I stop doing? That single question may accomplish more than 100 new habits ever could. Because productivity isn't about filling every hour. It's about protecting the hours that matter most. And once you've learned to eliminate what doesn't deserve your attention, you're ready for the next challenge. The one that separates people who stay busy from those who create extraordinary results. The secret isn't managing your time. It's mastering your energy. One of the greatest myths about productivity is that time is your most valuable resource. It isn't. Your most valuable resource is your energy. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever sat in front of your laptop for 2 hours, staring at the screen, reading the same paragraph over and over, yet nothing meaningful happened? Then, on another day, when you felt refreshed and motivated, you finished the same kind of work in just 30 minutes. The time was different. But the real difference wasn't the clock. It was your energy. This is where most people make a costly mistake. They organize their calendars around time instead of organizing their lives around energy. They schedule important work wherever there's an empty space on the calendar, even if that's the moment when their mind is exhausted. Then they wonder why they can't focus. Imagine asking an Olympic sprinter to compete immediately after running a marathon. No matter how talented they are, they won't perform at their best because their energy has already been spent. Your brain works exactly the same way. It has moments of incredible power and moments when it simply needs recovery. The problem is that modern life teaches us to ignore those signals. We're expected to perform at the same level from early morning until late at night. But human beings aren't machines. Even machines overheat. Your mind naturally moves through cycles of high and low energy. Some people think most clearly early in the morning. Others become highly creative in the evening. Some feel energetic after exercise. Others do their best thinking after a quiet walk. The secret isn't forcing yourself to fit someone else's routine. The secret is discovering your own rhythm. Imagine you own a powerful sports car. Would you drive it at full speed every second of every journey? Of course not. You'd know exactly when to accelerate and when to slow down. Yet many people expect their minds to operate at maximum performance every waking hour. Eventually, something breaks. Not because they're weak, because they never stopped long enough to refuel. This is why rest isn't the opposite of productivity. Rest is part of productivity. Think about professional athletes. The world's greatest athletes don't become champions simply because they train harder than everyone else. They become champions because they recover better. Every intense workout is followed by recovery. Every competition is balanced with rest. Without recovery, muscles don't grow stronger. They break down. Your mind follows the same rule. Every period of deep concentration must eventually be followed by renewal. Otherwise, your thinking becomes slower. Your creativity disappears. Your patience fades. Your decisions become careless. Ironically, many ambitious people are proud of skipping breaks. They brag about sleeping only a few hours. They treat exhaustion like a badge of honor. But being constantly tired doesn't make you dedicated. It makes you ineffective. Imagine trying to chop down a tree with a dull axe. After every swing, the blade becomes a little duller. A wise person pauses occasionally to sharpen it. An impatient person keeps swinging harder. Hours later, they're exhausted, yet the tree is still standing. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you sharpened your own mind? Not with entertainment, not with endless scrolling, but with genuine recovery. A quiet walk, quality sleep, time with family, reading something inspiring, exercise, silence, moments when your brain isn't solving problems but simply breathing. Those moments are not wasted. They're investments. Here's another mistake many people make. They spend their best energy on their least important tasks. Imagine waking up with a full battery that slowly drains throughout the day. What would you use that full battery for? Writing an important proposal, learning a valuable skill, building your dream business, or answering emails? Unfortunately, many people do the opposite. They wake up full of energy, then immediately spend that energy checking notifications, replying to messages, browsing social media, and completing tiny tasks that could easily wait. By the time they finally begin the work that truly matters, their battery is already half empty. It's like spending all your money on snacks before trying to buy a house. The resources are gone before the important decision arrives. Highly effective people reverse this pattern. Before the world has a chance to distract them, they protect their best hours. They dedicate those hours to meaningful work. Everything else comes later. There's an interesting question successful people ask themselves every morning. What deserves the best version of me today? Notice they don't ask, what can I finish today? They ask, what deserves my highest level of focus? That simple shift changes everything. Because not every task deserves your peak performance. Folding laundry doesn't require your sharpest thinking. Neither does organizing old files. But designing something meaningful, learning a difficult concept, writing, planning, solving complex problems, those deserve your very best. Imagine a famous painter. Would they begin their masterpiece after spending 10 exhausting hours doing unrelated chores? Probably not. They would choose the moment when their creativity feels strongest. Your most important work deserves the same respect. Another hidden enemy of productivity is decision fatigue. From the moment you wake up, your brain begins making decisions. What should I wear? What should I eat? Should I reply now or later? Should I accept this invitation? Should I work first or exercise first? Each decision seems small, but together, they quietly drain mental energy. By evening, even simple choices begin to feel overwhelming. This explains why some people make poor decisions late in the day. It's not because they're careless. Their mental battery has simply been depleted. That's why creating routines is so powerful. Every routine removes unnecessary decisions. Imagine two pilots. One has to rebuild the cockpit every time they fly. The other enters a cockpit where everything is already perfectly arranged. Who can focus more on flying? Your routines create that cockpit. The fewer unnecessary decisions you make, the more energy remains for meaningful thinking. This brings us to another surprising truth. Perfection is often disguised procrastination. Many people spend weeks preparing to begin. They research, they organize, they redesign plans, they wait for the perfect opportunity. But meaningful progress belongs to people who begin before everything feels perfect. Imagine standing beside a cold swimming pool. The longer you stand there thinking about the water, the colder it seems. Eventually, the only way forward is to jump. The same applies to important work. Thinking about it consumes energy. Doing it creates momentum. Momentum is one of the most valuable forces in productivity. Once you're moving, continuing becomes easier. But getting started is where most people lose the battle. That's why successful people make beginning incredibly simple. Instead of saying, "I'm going to write 50 pages," they say, "I'm going to write for 15 minutes." Instead of saying, "I'm going to completely transform my health," they say, "I'm going to take a short walk." Small beginnings overcome mental resistance. And once action starts, motivation often follows naturally. There's another powerful lesson worth remembering. Your environment shapes your behavior more than your intentions. Imagine placing a bowl of fresh fruit beside a bowl of chocolate. Most people will eventually reach for whatever is easiest. Now imagine replacing the chocolate with nothing but healthy food. Without using any extra willpower, your choices improve. The same principle applies to focus. If your phone sits beside your keyboard, you'll probably check it. If social media is one click away, temptation increases. If your workspace is cluttered, your mind often becomes cluttered too. Successful people don't depend entirely on self-control. They design environments that make the right choice easier. Sometimes success isn't about becoming stronger. It's about removing unnecessary temptations. And perhaps the greatest source of energy comes from something even deeper. Purpose. Think about two workers carrying identical bricks. Ask the first person what they're doing. They answer, "I'm laying bricks." Ask the second. They smile and say, "I'm helping build a school where children will learn for generations." The work looks identical, but emotionally, it's completely different. Purpose transforms effort into meaning. When your work connects to something larger than today's task, your motivation becomes stronger. Challenges become easier to endure. Obstacles become temporary instead of permanent. This is why it's so important to regularly remind yourself why your goal matters. Not because you'll forget the goal, but because you'll forget the reason behind it. And without purpose, discipline eventually becomes exhausting. As you move through each day, don't just protect your time. Protect your energy. Protect your attention. Protect your purpose. Because these three resources determine the quality of every result you'll ever create. In the final section of our journey, we'll discover how truly productive people build a life that doesn't revolve around endless work. Instead, they create something far more valuable, a life where success and freedom grow together, where achievement doesn't come at the cost of health, relationships, or happiness, and where productivity finally becomes a tool for living, not the purpose of life itself. The greatest misunderstanding about success is that one day, after enough hard work, life will finally begin. People tell themselves, "I'll spend time with my family after I get promoted. I'll take care of my health after this busy season. I'll travel after I earn a little more. I'll slow down once I become successful." But there's one problem with that plan. Life doesn't wait. While you're postponing happiness, your children are growing up. Your parents are getting older. Your health is quietly changing. Your relationships are stronger or weaker. And the days you thought you would eventually enjoy are disappearing one by one. That's why true productivity has never been about squeezing more work into your schedule. It's about making sure your schedule reflects the life you actually want to live. Imagine standing at the top of a mountain after years of climbing. You've reached the summit. You have the money, the title, the recognition. Everyone applauds your success. But when you look around, you realize you climbed the wrong mountain. The people you love are missing. Your health is gone. Your mind is constantly exhausted. And despite everything you've achieved, you feel strangely empty. Sadly, this isn't a rare story. Many people spend decades chasing success only to discover they sacrificed the very things they wanted success to protect. That's why the real question isn't, how can I achieve more? The better question is, what kind of life am I building? Because success without freedom is simply another kind of prison. Freedom means waking up excited instead of anxious. Freedom means having enough energy to enjoy dinner with your family after work. Freedom means saying yes to opportunities because you choose them, not because you're trapped by them. Freedom means owning your calendar instead of your calendar owning you. Think of your life like a garden. Most people spend all their time pulling weeds. Emails, notifications, unexpected requests, minor problems, small interruptions. The weeds never stop growing. If that's all you ever do, you'll spend your entire life maintaining the garden without ever planting anything beautiful. But successful gardeners understand something different. Yes, weeds must be removed. But flowers must also be planted. Trees must be cared for. The soil must be nourished. Your life deserves the same balance. Eliminate distractions, but also create space for meaningful work. Protect your attention, but also protect your relationships. Pursue achievement, but never forget to enjoy the journey. One of the most powerful habits you can develop is something incredibly simple. At the end of each day, pause for just 5 quiet minutes and ask yourself 3 questions. What did I accomplish today that truly mattered? Not what kept me busy. Not what looked productive. What actually moved my life forward? The second question, what distracted me today? Be honest. Maybe it was social media. Maybe unnecessary meetings. Maybe overthinking. Maybe saying yes when you wanted to say no. Awareness is the first step toward change. And finally, ask yourself, what's the one most important thing I should focus on tomorrow? Notice it isn't 5 things. Or 10. Just 1. Because clarity creates confidence. When tomorrow begins, you won't waste your best energy wondering where to start. You'll already know. Over time, these tiny daily reflections become something extraordinary. They become your personal compass. A compass doesn't make the journey easier. Storms still come. Roadblocks still appear. Unexpected challenges still happen. But a compass ensures you never lose your direction. Life is the same. You don't need perfect days. You need a clear direction. Some days you'll accomplish everything you planned. Other days, nothing will go according to schedule. That's perfectly normal. Progress isn't built through perfect days. It's built through consistent direction. Imagine a ship crossing the ocean. The captain doesn't steer perfectly every second. Winds change. Waves push the ship off course. Storms appear unexpectedly. But each time, the captain makes small adjustments. Eventually, the ship reaches its destination. Your life works exactly the same way. You don't need perfection. You need regular course corrections. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, return to your priorities. Whenever distractions become louder than your purpose, reconnect with your goals. Whenever busyness replaces meaning, simplify again. Remember, productivity isn't measured by how exhausted you feel at the end of the day. It's measured by whether today's actions created a better tomorrow. There is another lesson that many people overlook. The quality of your life depends on the quality of your boundaries. Imagine owning a beautiful house without any doors. Anyone could walk inside. Anyone could rearrange your furniture. Anyone could interrupt your dinner. You'd never feel peaceful because everything would always be vulnerable. Your time deserves doors too. Sometimes those doors sound like, I'm unavailable this afternoon. I can't commit to that right now. Maybe another time. I need to focus on another priority. These aren't selfish statements. They're responsible ones. Every meaningful dream requires protected time. Without boundaries, priorities remain wishes. With boundaries, priorities become reality. As you continue your journey, remember something incredibly important. Your value is not measured by how busy you are. It isn't measured by the number of emails you answer. It isn't measured by how many meetings you attend. It isn't measured by how many hours you work. Your value comes from the impact you create. A single thoughtful decision can change your career. One meaningful conversation can transform a relationship. One focused hour can accomplish more than an entire distracted day. Never confuse movement with progress. A rocking chair moves constantly, but it never goes anywhere. Many people live exactly like that. Always moving, rarely advancing. Don't become one of them. Instead, become someone who chooses carefully. Someone who protects their attention. Someone who values deep work over constant activity. Someone who understands that every no makes room for a more meaningful yes. And perhaps most importantly, become someone who realizes that productivity is not the destination. Freedom is. The purpose of becoming more productive isn't to fit more work into your life. It's to create more room for the things that make life worth living. More meaningful conversations, more laughter, more creativity, more learning, more health, more memories, more peace. At the end of your life, nobody will remember how quickly you replied to emails. No one will admire the length of your to-do list. No one will count how many meetings you attended. But they will remember the lives you touched. The kindness you showed, the dreams you pursued, the moments you were fully present. Those are the things that truly matter. So starting today, stop asking, how can I become busier? Start asking, how can I become more intentional? Protect your mornings. Guard your attention. Use your best energy on your biggest dreams. Choose progress over perfection. Choose focus over distraction. Choose purpose over pressure. And above all, remember that the most successful people aren't the ones who do the most. They're the ones who consistently do what matters most. Thank you for spending your valuable time with us today. If this journey inspired you to rethink the way you work and live, don't let these ideas end with this video. Choose just one lesson you've learned today and put it into action within the next 24 hours. Small changes, repeated consistently, create extraordinary results over time. If you enjoyed this book summary and want more powerful insights from the world's best books on productivity, psychology, business, success, and personal growth, make sure to subscribe to Volume and Vision and turn on notifications so you never miss an upcoming episode. And before you leave, we'd love to hear from you. What was the biggest lesson you learned from today's video? Share your thoughts in the comments below. You never know who your insight might inspire. Until next time, stay focused, stay curious, keep learning, and remember this. Your future isn't built by doing more. It's built by doing what matters most, every single day. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next journey here on Volume and Vision.